I have been told that I'm fine so many times that I'm starting to even wonder if I knew what fine meant. Blood work, fine. Hormones, fine. You're young. You're healthy. You go to the gym. You work out. You're fine. And I just kept thinking, why do I feel like this? Fine. It looked like 6 days a week in the gym, diet genuinely clean, alcohol barely in the picture, not a discipline flex, just not something that fit into the life that I was building. If I can compare my health now to my health 10 plus years ago, it's a completely different genre. So I know what healthy and I know what unhealthy looks like. And it's been the most frustrating thing in the world to dedicate everything to your well-being and still feeling like something is off, especially at the age of 30. There's so much that changes for you. You really start to realize you can't do everything that you once did. You can't eat everything that you once ate. You need to be proactive. If you're not, those signs start to show up. And the way that our healthcare system is set up, it's the most frustrating thing in the world because, as everyone knows here in Canada, unless you're dying on their table, you're fine. I was spending hundreds of dollars a month on supplements. I was constantly listening to health podcasts, reading books. I talked to naturopaths, doctors. I was so thorough, and I spent over 2 years trying to deal with a bloating problem that just didn't make sense to me. I'm eating clean. I don't eat ultra processed foods. I work out all the time. I drink a ton of water. I rarely drink alcohol, if ever. It just seemed that no matter what I did, it wouldn't be resolved. And all I could be told was nothing's wrong. It didn't matter how well I slept. The fatigue hit me every afternoon like it had somewhere to be. The burnout made no sense on paper because on paper, everything was fine. There's a specific kind of exhaustion that comes from someone who takes her health so seriously and still can't get a straight answer. You start to question yourself. You start to wonder if you're being dramatic because Lord knows we've been told that in the past, or maybe if everyone else just feels that way and they're just better at hiding it. The healthcare system here in Canada has one setting, okay? Wait until something is wrong and then we'll manage it. That's it. Unless you're dying on their table, you're fine. Your levels and your blood work, it's normal. That's the whole model. Recently, I saw a nurse practitioner because it's been impossible to find the family doctor. I've been in Vancouver for 8 years now and I still don't have a family doctor. So I went to go see a nurse practitioner, and bless her for being honest, but I went to her and I said, listen, I am at my wit's end. I don't know how to fix my bloating problem. Something feels off. My brain is foggy. It doesn't make sense to me. She's like, I can send you for blood work and we'll do a couple things. And I was like, can we please just test everything? I will pay for it. I don't care. I just want to know how everything is so I can get a starting point. And she literally said to me, we just can't do that because our taxes would be way too high. Thanks for being honest, I guess, but at least now I have my answer. It's not the first experience I had with somebody who they just basically were like, no. I saw a naturopath a year before that, and I'd been told by so many of my clients that she was amazing, and she worked with a lot of women in their 50s, being said, and I was about to turn 30, and I went to her and I was like, listen, I just want to go get on top of everything. I want to make sure I'm doing everything in my power to optimize for my own health, because I've seen my members of my family deal with things unexpectedly. I want to make sure mentally I'm doing everything I can. And she just looked at me and she's like, you're 30, you're fine. Your hormones, you don't need to worry about those. You're healthy, just don't worry about it. And it was the most frustrating thing in the world, because I'm like, so I have to just sit around and wait for disease to manifest or for my levels to drop so low to a point that you're like, oh, maybe I'll listen to it now and then we can look at it. It really pushed me away from even wanting to deal with things. It just was taking up so much time and leaving me with so many questions unanswered. I just kept coming back to the same question. Why would I wait for something to go wrong, spend years trying to reverse it when I could just look at it right now? At what point did being proactive become the same thing as being paranoid? Who decided that for us? I imagine I'm not the only woman in her 30s or just a woman in general who's experienced the healthcare system like this. At some point, it becomes easier to accept fine than to keep pushing against a system that has absolutely no framework for a woman who wants to get ahead of it. Here's what I know about the body. And I know this from over a decade of working with women, watching what shows up in their hair, their skin, their energy, the way they carry themselves when something internal is off. The body is always narrating. It does not lie. It just speaks in a language that most of us were never taught how to read. And my body had been screaming at me for a long time. There's also something that I really needed to be honest with myself. The gym, I had made it my identity. 6 days a week was my norm, and it felt like I was earning the right to feel good. My value was literally contingent on my output. If I missed a gym session, it was like a personal failure. Even on a rest day, if I didn't do something physical on my rest day, I was just the biggest loser to myself. I've been running that equation for years. Don't get me wrong, the gym helped me handle and get through a lot of really difficult times in my life. And at one point in my life, it was a saving grace. But I think sometimes when we find a resolution for something, we latch onto it. It's the only resolution. And if we let go of it, everything is going to fall apart. And that's kind of how I think the gym felt for me. Was if I wasn't in the gym, then my life was going to go all the way back to the way that it started, when I was unhappy and unhealthy and getting myself into unfavorable situations. And when my rhinoplasty recovery took that away from me for almost 2 months, I found out very quickly how much I was using movement to drown out literally everything else that I wasn't looking at. The discipline that looked like health from the outside was a very sophisticated form of avoidance. I've been working around the symptoms, not through them. Now, I'm a really big believer that whatever's meant for you will be and will show up for you at the most opportune moment. And I know that I'm going down the right path when things just present themselves in my life at the most opportune time. And so when I found Kevin, the founder of Viogen Health Systems, I knew that this was my answer, or at least my next step. Kevin built something that I literally have not found anywhere else in Canada, let alone in Vancouver. A framework that looks at your genomics, your blood work, your nervous system, your lifestyle, and connects the dots between all of it. What made me trust him was honestly simple. He just asked me questions that nobody had asked me before about stress, history, about the things in my life that were quietly getting in the way of recovery before I even understood that recovery was what I needed. We're basically looking for a source, for the why, not just a band-aid, not just a supplement to throw on a deficiency. So at this point, I've already done the genetic testing, and today I'm going out to sit with him and to find out my results and what my body has been trying to tell me all along. There's a specific vulnerability in letting someone look at your actual data. You can't argue with it. Can't optimize your way around it. It just tells the truth, flat out. It's just science. I think I realized that I was more afraid of that than I had admitted ever before. But at this point in my life, I'm way more tired of feeling the way that I feel than I am afraid of finding out the why. I'm just going to take you guys along with me because I've always been super open about the things in my life that I try and that I do. And if something works for me and can help at least one other person, that makes me super happy. So if you're interested in sticking along, I think that there's going to be a lot of really interesting information that comes up, and I'm dedicated to this protocol. So follow along. And if you guys have any questions or anything, let me know.